There is a moment in certain arguments that feels unreal. You bring up something that hurt you. You speak calmly. You explain clearly. And within minutes, you are apologizing. Not because you were wrong, not because you were cruel, but because somehow the entire conversation turned around. And now you are the one being accused. You leave the discussion confused. You replay it in your head. And a question appears that you never thought you would ask. How did this become my fault? There is a psychological pattern behind this. It has a name. And once you see it, you will never unsee it again. It is called Darvo. Darvo is not just manipulation. It is a structured response pattern used when someone is confronted with their harmful behavior. Instead of acknowledging what happened, the person changes the entire direction of the conversation in a very specific order. First, they deny. Then they attack. And finally, they reverse the roles of victim and offender. By the end, you are no longer talking about what they did. You are defending who you are. And the most dangerous part? Many people experiencing Darvo do not realize it is happening because emotionally it feels like a real argument. Today, you will learn how this pattern works and why it leaves people doubting their own memory, emotions, and identity. Part 1. D. Deny. The first step is denial. You describe what happened. They respond immediately. That never happened. You're imagining things. I never said that. This is not just disagreement. This is an attempt to erase the starting point of the conversation, because if the event never happened, then your feelings cannot be justified. And here is what makes denial powerful. Arguments are rarely recorded. They happen privately, so you cannot prove it. And once proof disappears, your brain begins to search for certainty. You replay the memory, you analyze details, you question yourself. Maybe I misunderstood. This is the beginning of self-doubt. In healthy relationships, people clarify. In Darvo, people erase. Part 2. A. Attack. When denial is not enough, the second step begins. Attack. The focus suddenly shifts away from their behavior and onto your character. You're too sensitive. You always overreact. You just want to start problems. Notice what happens psychologically. The conversation moves from a specific event to your personality. Now you are not discussing what they did. You are defending who you are. And defending identity is exhausting. Your brain starts searching your past for mistakes. You begin explaining yourself. You try to prove you are reasonable. And while you are busy defending your character, their behavior is no longer the topic. This is not a loss of focus. It is a redirection of responsibility. Part 3. RVO, Reverse Victim and Offender. This is the final and most confusing step. The roles flip. The person you confronted becomes the hurt one, and you become the aggressor. They say things like, "You're attacking me. I can't believe you would think that about me. You're hurting me right now." Now the emotional pressure increases because empathy activates. You do not want to hurt them. You do not want to be unfair. So you soften your tone. You comfort them. And then it happens. You apologize. The original issue, the thing that hurt you, disappears completely. The argument is over. But nothing was resolved. Darvo succeeded. Darvo works because humans fear conflict and value fairness. Your brain wants balance, so when someone appears hurt, you respond with care. But the manipulator uses that instinct. They do not need to win the argument. They only need to make you feel guilty for having brought it up. After repeated experiences, something deeper happens. You stop bringing problems. You start editing your words. You begin walking on emotional eggshells, and eventually you question your own perception. Not because you are weak, because your mind is trying to keep peace in a situation designed to prevent clarity. There are 3 warning signs you can notice during the conversation. The topic keeps changing from behavior to personality. You start explaining yourself more than explaining the issue. You leave the conversation feeling guilty but still hurt. That emotional combination is important. Guilt without resolution. That is often the psychological footprint of Darvo. You do not need to out-argue Darvo. You need to stop participating in the pattern. Bring the discussion back to the specific behavior. I'm talking about what happened, not about my character. If denial continues, do not debate memory endlessly. You are not in a courtroom. You are in a relationship. And a relationship without shared reality cannot solve problems, only postpone them. Your goal is not to force them to admit. Your goal is to recognize what is happening. Clarity protects more than persuasion ever will. Imagine a simple situation. You tell your partner, "Yesterday, the way you spoke to me in front of others hurt me." The response is immediate. "I never spoke to you like that." You pause. You clearly remember the tone, the words, the moment. You try again. You raised your voice and said, "I embarrassed you." Now the second step begins. You're too sensitive. Everyone else understood it was a joke. Your certainty weakens. You start explaining why it hurt. "I wasn't trying to cause a problem. I just felt disrespected." Then the final shift happens. "I can't believe you're accusing me after everything I do for you. You're always trying to make me the bad person." Now you feel something new. Guilt. You soften your voice. You reassure them. You start calming them down. And within minutes, the conversation ends with you saying, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you." The original issue never gets resolved. Nothing was clarified. Nothing was repaired. But the emotional pressure disappeared. And your brain accepts relief as proof that peace was restored. This is why Darvo is so powerful. It doesn't solve the problem. It trains you to stop bringing problems. Darvo is powerful because it does not just change conversations. It changes self-perception. People exposed to it long enough stop trusting their memory, their emotions, and eventually themselves. But once you recognize the pattern, something shifts. You stop asking, "How do I explain this better?" And you start asking, "Why does every discussion end with me apologizing for being hurt?" And that question is often the first step back to reality. Because healthy relationships may include disagreement, but they never require you to abandon your own mind in order to keep the peace.